welcome back. Today we're gonna continue speaking about verbs. This is the last thing that we were talking about in the last class, and we only focus on this slide right in front of us. We were just defining what a verb is. We were explaining that verbs, it says they are an action. They are the action in a sentence that the subject does. Okay, so whatever the subject is doing, that action is the verb in a sentence in English. Verbs are necessary, are mandatory. You need verbs. You cannot have a sentence without a verb. They always come after the auxiliary verbs and before the complements. Okay, so you have, again, I don't know if you remember, subject, auxiliary, verb, and complement. So the thing is, you have this, and it is always going to be here. This is your verb. After the auxiliary and before the complement. The most important property about verbs that we were speaking about was that it has multiple forms. Verbs, they have multiple forms. They have 6 conjugations in English. That is easier than in Spanish or other languages because we only have 6. We have the base form, which is only the verb, like, go, be, do, try. We have the infinitive form. The infinitive form is just the base form, and you have do at the beginning. Do plus verb, and that's it. And you don't have irregular forms or anything like that. You have the gerund, that's the verb plus ing. This is very simple too. You just need the verb and ing at the end. And then you have a verb in the present. This verb sometimes takes an S. In the simple present, in the third person of the singular, in affirmative statements, you don't use the auxiliary. If you are not using the auxiliary, the verb is going to have to change to the third person. So you add an S. In the past is the same. You don't really need to do much. And affirmative statements, in the simple past, you don't use the auxiliary. Because you don't use the auxiliary, you have to change the verb, and it has to be in the past. Normally, it is the or ed. These are the terminations. The past participle, normally, it is also the or ed. The past participle and the simple past, they are normally the same. But these two are the most difficult ones because they have irregular verbs. I was speaking to you a little bit about these irregular verbs. You can download a verb list. I will try to find some, I will try to find one to give it to you, maybe through the group or maybe down here in YouTube. I don't know, but I will look for one. And we were saying that the most important thing with this is that you have to remember that these are not time tenses. These are conjugations. Sometimes you need the base form. With some time tenses, you need the base form. Other time tenses, you need the gerund or the present or the past participle. Remember, the past participle, for example, is called past participle, but it's not a time tense. Every perfect form uses past participle, even the future perfect. So past participle is just one variation. It's a type of, it's a way in which you can conjugate your verb. That's pretty much it. And the other important thing that we were saying is that if we have, I don't know, subject, I, auxiliary, am, this is the present continuous. If this is the auxiliary, this is the present continuous. And verb, I can say, I don't know, like cat, and then complement you. In this case, the verb is cat. I don't know what it means because cat is a noun and it normally means gato. So I'm not really sure what it means in here. But whatever you have in this position, after the auxiliary and before the complement, this is going to be the verb. In the case of continuous forms, you need to use ing, catting. I'm not really sure what it means. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe in one specific place they have a meaning for it, they use it. And again, I was talking to you about how flexible the language is. Okay, it is very flexible. So whatever we think is a noun, we can use it as a verb. As the opposite is also true. You remember that when we were speaking about nouns and subjects and objects, we were saying that verbs with ing can also work as nouns. You can say running is fun. In this case, the verb is, and this is a noun. is the subject. Running is not even a verb. You are using this verb like a noun. In this case, you're using this noun as a verb. I'm not really sure what catting means, but in Spanish we have gato, gatear, perro, perrear, mesa, mesear, mesero, meserear, zapato, zapatear. So we do that all the time. We use the nouns and we verbalize them. So that was, I think, the most important part about it. And we're gonna move on because we have a lot to check with verbs. This is just what you had to remember before we could move on. I need to speak to you about something very important with verbs. Verbs are divided into two categories. You have two types of verbs. They are verbs that we call, we call transitive verbs. And then we have other verbs that we call intransitive verbs. So when you are speaking about verbs, you have two types, transitive or intransitive. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of a transitive or an intransitive verb? It says, there are two types of verbs, transitive or intransitive. A transitive verb is a verb that transfers the action from the doer to the receiver. Intransitive verbs do not have a receiver for the action. So this is just the important part. Right here, we can check how we have subject, we have a verb, and we have a complement. We have a subject, we have a verb, and we have a complement. We do not have the auxiliary because both of these sentences are in the simple present, and they are affirmative statements. So the auxiliaries do. We never really use them in affirmative statements, so forget about them. But you have two different verbs. You have the verb eat and the verb walk. What is the difference? The difference is that the complement, in this case, is called an object, a direct object. Direct object. Do you remember what a direct object is? We were checking that when we were checking pronouns and everything. The direct object is a noun, is a thing. Yeah? A cat can be the object, a person can be the object, and we have object pronouns. I don't know if you remember them. The object pronouns were me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. These are the pronouns. So instead of cookies, we can replace the cookies and use them because it's plural. I eat them. What is a direct object? A direct object is a noun, is a thing, but it's not the thing doing. The person doing the action is the subject, and we use personal pronouns like I, you, he, she, it. In this case, I am the person doing the action. The action is eating, okay? The cookies are not doing anything. The cookies are receiving. They are the receiver of the action of being eaten. The cookies are just there, and somebody takes them and eats them. They suffer being eaten, so they are the direct object. That's just the point. This is a transitive verb. Why is it a transitive verb? Because it transfers the action. I do the action, and the cookies receive the action. What is an intransitive verb? An intransitive verb is a verb that doesn't accept an object. This is a complement of time. It's telling you, this is like a little phrase, it's an adverbial phrase. It's telling you when. It's telling you, I walk every day. I walk every morning. I walk in the afternoons. I walk. The every day is not receiving my walking. Yeah, even if I say I walk in the park doesn't receive my walking. The park is only the place where I walk. Okay, so verbs that don't transfer the action, you have a doer of the action, but no one is receiving the action. When you have verbs that do not transfer the action, you have something called intransitive verbs. So you have transitive verbs, they accept objects. And then you have intransitive verbs, they don't accept objects. That's pretty much the difference between them. But why is it important? Why is it important to know if a verb is transitive or is it intransitive? Okay, let's move on. And to explain that importance, we're gonna have to make a little pause with verbs, and we need to start speaking about something that is called prepositions. I don't know if you remember what a preposition is. Sorry. I don't know if you remember what a preposition is in Spanish even. I don't know, maybe you in the school, you had a little song or a little list of prepositions that you used to sing or recitate. I don't know if you remember sorry, hasta, de, desde, con, contra, hasta, con, contra, de, desde, sin, debajo, no sé, tras, se acaba en tras. Ante, contra, ustedes se acuerdan, ¿sí? Todas esas son las preposiciones. Esas se llaman preposiciones. En inglés tienen un papel muy difícil. Es un poco complicado explicar cómo funcionan, porque tienen dos funciones. Funcionan tanto como en español, como de otra manera, un poquito diferente. Las preposiciones, que ustedes aquí tienen algunos ejemplos de algunas de ellas. On, in, at, of, from, over, above, by, and with. Prepositions are difficult. They are a difficult topic in English because we are used to translate them just the way we use them in our first language. Prepositions are words that we can use to establish a relationship between two nouns. The first problem that we have is that we tend to translate. Yeah, we think, voy con mi hermano. Yo voy, ¿cómo se dice con? Y buscas en el diccionario con es with, entonces with my brother. En ese caso está bien. Pero el problema es que no todas las preposiciones se utilizan como las utilizamos en el español. No son tan equivalentes. Aquí el diccionario no va a servir mucho. ¿Para qué sirven las preposiciones? Bueno, aquí dice que las preposiciones son palabras que se usan para establecer una relación entre dos sustantivos. Entonces yo aquí tengo una parte bien importante. Tengo sustantivo número 1 y sustantivo número 2. Estoy hablando de una silla y de una mesa. Yo puedo decir la silla y la mesa, pero ¿qué relación hay entre la silla y la mesa? Eso depende de la preposición que tenga en medio, ¿sí? Entonces yo puedo decir the chair on the table, la silla en la mesa, o sea que está encima de la mesa, sobre la mesa. The chair in the table, como adentro de la mesa, es un poco más raro, tal vez la mesa tiene cajones o algo así. The chair at the table, en la mesa, otra vez está como encima. Of the table, de la mesa, la que le pertenece a la mesa. Eran un juego, venían juntas. ¿Dónde está la silla de la mesa? The chair from the table, la silla desde la mesa. A lo mejor desarmamos la mesa y reusamos la madera para hacer una silla. And this chair comes from the table. Over or above the table, encima, flotando probablemente, o encima de la mesa. By the table, cerca de la mesa. With the table, con la mesa. Entonces, dependiendo de qué preposición utilizamos, es qué relación establecemos entre mi sustantivo número 1 y mi sustantivo número 2. Yo tengo dos sustantivos y yo puedo establecer una relación utilizando una preposición. En ese sentido, a lo mejor el diccionario les sirve porque, bueno, les va a venir on, va a decir en, pero les va a decir on o in, y entonces cuando saben cuándo usar cada una, es un poquito más difícil. Vamos a seguir hablando un poquito de las preposiciones y ahorita regresamos a los verbos y les explico por qué hicimos este pequeño desvío, ¿ok? Aquí dice, we have prepositions and the most commonly used are, well, we have many prepositions and these are some of the most commonly used. About, above, across, after, against, along, among, around, at, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, besides, between, beyond, by, despite, down, during, except, for, from, in, into, inside, like, near, off, on, out, outside, over, past, since, through, throughout, to, towards, under, underneath, until, up, with, within, and without. Those are some prepositions, but we also have prepositions that consist of more than one word. For example, we have along with, because of, due to, except for, in addition to, in case of, in front of, in place of, in spite of, instead of, on account of, out of, up to, and with the exception of. These are some of the prepositions that we have, some of the most commonly used. You're going to find all these words in a dictionary and what they mean. But the problem is we don't always use them in exactly that way. So let me just speak about a couple of important uses for prepositions. When do you use prepositions? How do you use them? So we have prepositions for time. For example, when you're speaking about time, if you're speaking about a moment on the day or something, you can use the preposition on, the preposition in, or the preposition at. How do you use them? On is normally used with days. I'll see you on Monday, not in Monday or not at Monday. I'll see you on Monday. I watch TV on Sunday or on Sundays. Okay, if you're telling a day, you use the preposition on. You use at with noon, night, midnight, and with the time of the day. For example, if you're speaking about a specific time in your watch, you can say, I do homework at noon. I do homework at 6 o'clock. There is a football game at 6 p.m. I will be doing the laundry at 9 tonight. Okay, if you're going to use noon, night, midnight, or a specific time in the day, 6, 6:30, 3, or whatever, you need to use the preposition at 3, at midnight, at noon, at some point. You use in when you use other parts of the day, when you're using months, years, and seasons. So for example, he likes to read in the afternoon. Okay, noon, night, midnight with at. But if you have afternoon or in or day, you use in the afternoon, in the day. He likes to read in the afternoon. Or for example, when you have months, I go to school in May, I have an appointment on October, I have a trip on December, I need to see you on August, in August. You use in for months, okay? And also for times of the year, seasons like spring or winter or fall or summer. You say, you don't see me in spring. I didn't do anything in winter or in the winter. Remember, okay? In is for days, some parts of the days, like afternoon or the complete day, for months, years, and seasons. At is for noon, night, midnight, and the specific time of the day. And on is just with the days of the week. On this day, on that day. Those prepositions are prepositions of time. Yeah. Also, we can use prepositions to introduce, we have more time prepositions. We have since, for, by, from, until, during, with, or within. And they express extended time. Okay, so all of them, they are used to express that a period of time that is extended, an extension of time. So for example, if you say, she has been gone since yesterday, it means she left yesterday and she hasn't returned. Since yesterday, it means in that moment in the past, it started and she hasn't returned yet. So she has been gone since yesterday, since. I am going to Paris for 2 weeks. When you say for, it means how long, you're talking about a period of time. I will be in Paris for this time. So you use for when you're going to speak about an amount of time, a period, okay? The film showed from May to June, or from May until June. From, it means starting in May, to or until, ending in June. Beginning in May, ending in June. The film showed beginning in May and finishing in June. From May to June. From, starting in one point, to or until, ending in another point, okay? Then we have, for example, during. During means at the same time, over the same period of time. So I watch TV during the night. So in the middle of the moment called the night is when I watch TV. I watch TV at the same time as you call the night. So for a period of time in the night. And also within or with can be used for no longer than, like when you put a limit. Yeah, we must finish the project within a year. So in no more than a year. We have today, I don't know, right now it is July. So we have to finish within a year. We have to finish at the maximum next July. That's the limit. No more than next July, okay? Within the day. Okay, so we only have today. We have to finish this within today. Within, it means inside also. So within a year, within a day, within a month, within a week, it means no more than a day, no more than a week, no more than a month. So it is just like placing a restriction, okay? Also, we have other prepositions that we use to speak about place. Remember, in, on, at, you more or less remember how to use them when you're speaking about time. But in this case, it's a little different because we are going to be using them to speak about place. The same prepositions, in can be used for time, in May or in in the summer or whatever. But also when you're speaking about place, it describes the point itself. It describes specifically the point. There was a wasp in the room, or a wasp is a kind of insect like a bee, but they are venomous. They can sting you. Okay, like they are they hurt a lot when they sting you. Here in Mexico, we have a lot of them. So there was a wasp in the room. When you say in, you're describing the point. Where? In the room, inside the room. We also use inside, and this is more. This makes a little bit more of an emphasis that something is contained. Put the present inside the box. When you say inside, it means open something, and the other thing goes inside. Okay. The scissors are inside the drawer. They are inside, so you need to open the drawer. They are inside my backpack, so you need to open the backpack to get something out. Okay, so inside it means, that is contained in something. On, remember that you can use on for time. For example, on Monday, on Friday. When you're speaking about place, on means the surface. Okay, I left your keys on the table. I mean, you have the table, and on top of the surface of the table, there you have the keys. The computer is on the desk. So you have a desk, and on the surface, you have a computer. Okay. She's laying on her bed. She's just doing nothing. She's lying on her bed. She's on the area, right? On the surface of her bed. At, when you're speaking about place, remember, when you're speaking about time, at is used with at night, at 6 o'clock, at noon. But when you're speaking about places, they talk about general vicinity. Okay, general vicinity, it means around that place, not exactly that place. So, for example, I saw you at the corner, around the corner. I saw you at the mall. I am not telling you specifically in which part of the mall. I saw you at school. If I say at school, it could be any of the classrooms. It can be the cafeteria, it can be the patio, it can be whatever. I mean, I'm telling you at school, so that means that is not as specific. Over or above, when you're using them for place, it means when the object is higher than a point. I threw the ball over the roof. So you have the roof of your house, and the ball, it was over, right? Like at a higher point, above. I have, for example, above my head, I have a light bulb. I have a light on top of my head, or a roof. The roof is on top of my head, is above my head or over my head. Okay, when something is above or over, it means that it's at a higher level. So also for place, we have other prepositions. We have the preposition under, underneath, beneath, or below. All of them, they are very similar, and it means that the object is lower than a point. Okay, the rabbit is under the ground. So the rabbit, this is the level of the ground, and the rabbit is under that level. The child is underneath the blanket. The blanket is, like the thing that you cover yourself when you sleep. If you're very cold, you need a blanket. It's like a piece of fabric, a big piece of fabric that you use to cover yourself to sleep. So the blanket, una manta, the child is underneath the blanket. So you have the blanket, and the child is at a lower point, is underneath or under the blanket. The valley is below sea level. The sea level is like 0 meters above sea level. The sea is the level of the sea, the level of the water. There are some places, for example, in the Netherlands, where you have places that are below the sea level. When something is below sea level, it means that it's at a lower point than the sea, than the ocean. Okay. They are pretty much the same. We relax in the shadow beneath the tree. Beneath, it means under a tree, underneath a tree, beneath a tree. You have a tree, and we were under the tree. We were enjoying the shadow or something. We were not on top of the tree. We were not above the tree. We were under the tree or beneath the tree. Okay? This is when things are at a lower point. You can use under, underneath, below, or beneath. When objects are close to a point, you can use near, by, next to, between, among, or opposite. For example, we have the house is near the school. Near or close, they are the same. Near the school, it means not very far. Close to the school, it means, again, not very far. Okay, it's pretty much the same thing. Also, we have, there is an ice cream shop by the store. When you say by, it means close to, again. There is the store, and the ice cream shop is just like two houses away or 2 buildings away. So it's by that place. It's very close to that place. An oak tree is a type of tree, grows next to my house. Next to, it means on the side. You have your house, and just at the side of your house, you have an oak tree growing. Okay, it is growing next to my house. My next to, it means, you know, at the side of from me. The house is between Maple Street and Elm Street. This is important, the difference between and among. Between and among, in Spanish, both of them, you translate them as entre. But they are different entres. When you're using between, you're using 2 nouns. So you're saying between this and that. I am between the sword and the wall. Estoy entre la espada y la pared. The house is between Maple Street and Elm Street. La casa está entre esta calle y aquella calle. En el centro. Encuentras una, encuentras la otra, pues ahí a la mitad, ahí está la casa. That is between, como entre, cuando tienes 2 referencias. Among también es entre en español, pero sí es un poquito diferente. Among sería, por ejemplo, cuando nosotros decimos, aquí hay un montón de, aquí dice, I found a pen among the pencils. Encontré una pluma entre los lápices. O sea, significa que tienes un montón de lápices, un montón, y entre todos ellos hay una pluma. No estás diciendo entre como entre 2 referencias, sino entre muchas cosas. Hay un niño entre la multitud. Ok, no está entre una persona y otra persona. Está entre un montón de personas. Entre la multitud. No sé. Ay, entre tantas tiendas siempre me pierdo. Ok, entre tantas tiendas. No estás hablando de una y otra. Estás hablando de among. Among so many stores, I always get lost. Yeah, there was a kid among a crowd. En medio. Entre la multitud. Okay, es la diferencia entre between y among. Opposite, it means, well, opposite is very similar to Spanish, is on the other side, in front of, something like that. The bathroom is opposite the kitchen. So you have the kitchen on one side, and then you have the bathroom on the other side. So that's pretty much it. When we have place, well, we have all of this. Also, we have prepositions introducing objects. This is very important, because this is when we connect prepositions with verbs. We're gonna connect prepositions and verbs. We're gonna check what they have in common, how do they work. And I think I don't wanna make this video any longer than it has to be. So for today, we were only speaking about prepositions, a little bit about verbs, but we moved away to prepositions. We were explaining what a preposition is. Estábamos diciendo que una preposición normalmente establece la relación entre 2 cosas o entre 2 personas, entre 2 sustantivos. Tenemos algunas que sirven para ciertas cosas con tiempo, otras que sirven para ciertas cosas con lugar. Y bueno, esas las podemos encontrar en el diccionario y no son tan complicadas. El problema es cuando las preposiciones empiezan a mezclarse con los verbos. Porque las preposiciones también sirven para introducir objetos. Hablamos de verbos transitivos y de verbos intransitivos. ¿Se acuerdan? Los transitivos tienen objeto, los intransitivos no tienen objeto. Entonces vamos a dejarle hasta aquí para que no sea súper largo el video y vamos a cortarlo. Y en otra pieza, más o menos también de otra media hora, espero, creo que esto es como media hora, la verdad no estoy seguro, pero espero que en la próxima podamos hablar de esto y después vamos a entrar a phrasal verbs, que aquí es donde está todo el relajo entre las preposiciones y los verbos y cómo interactúan, y aquí es donde ya no tiene nada que ver con el español y luego nos cuesta mucho trabajo. Okay, so thank you very much, and I think that will be it for now. So I'll see you on the next video. Okay, again, any questions, si tienen cualquier pregunta, anótenla, apúntenla y me la pueden pasar por comentario, me la pueden guardar para cuando nos veamos en las sesiones presenciales y podemos pues directamente checar cualquier ejemplo, cualquier cosa que necesitemos, ¿sí? Ok, cuídense.